Trek! Just kidding, I don't go that crazy for Star Trek. Star Wars, yeah, but not Star Trek. However, this is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, so I'm going to review the new Star Trek movie. So here we go. Star Trek Beyond is the third Star Trek in the rebooted Star Trek series. It was released July 22nd, 2016. It is rated PG-13 for sequences of sci-fi violence and action. The movie is 122 minutes and was released by Paramount Pictures, produced by J.J. Abrams, who also directed the new Star Wars film. Star Trek Beyond involves the crew of the USS Enterprise being stranded on this planet, and they have to fight for survival while the villain of the movie, Krall, played brilliantly by Idris Elba, wants a piece of technology that the Enterprise has, and he will do anything to get that piece of technology. That's pretty much the plot of this movie in a nutshell. Now, growing up, I was never a huge Star Trek fan. I was always more of a Star Wars fan, as evidenced by the shirt. There you go. I never watched the original TV series, and I never watched any of the movies that followed, and I had no desire to watch the 2009 reboot of Star Trek, the movies, But I saw Star Trek, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really like it. I have it on Blu-ray, and then they made the sequel, Star Trek Into Darkness, and I have that on Blu-ray, and I really enjoy these films. For Star Trek films, I really enjoy these films. Like I said, I'm not really a huge Star Trek fan, but those films are really good. So I had high hopes for this Star Trek movie, and the trailers kind of gave me an off-putting feeling. They had a lot of music in the trailers, which is something a lot of trailers are doing nowadays, which I don't really like. And it just kind of looked blah. J.J. Abrams wasn't directing, Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman were writing. However, what I saw last night blew my mind. This movie was amazing. Star Trek celebrates its 50th anniversary in style with Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond, just like I said, it blew my mind. It was riveting, it was emotional, it was exciting, it was a fun space adventure, and a great blockbuster. Now, I'm not going to go through all the characters, but if you watch the first two Star Trek movies, Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, you know who the characters are, you know what they're like, they're going to develop over the course of 3 films, and after this, the 4th one. That's what they do, they really develop, and there's one thing that I really like. They split up everybody, so they're in pairs of 2, and usually we see the relationship between Kirk and Spock. In this, you see more of Spock and Bones, and that was really interesting to watch. You really got to explore deeper relationships with the characters. Like Kirk really gets to explore a relationship, and you get to see him develop more with Chekhov. They pair Spock and Bones together. You really see that relationship blend and mesh well, and then Lieutenant Uhura is matched up with Sulu, and you really see that, and that worked well in the movie. Best character in the movie, hands down, by far, is Jayla. This chick, holy shit, she was awesome. Played brilliantly by Sofia Boutella. That chick knocked it out of the park. It was awesome. I hope she is in Star Trek 4. I want to see more of her. She kicked ass. She was really a well-developed character, and one thing I liked about her character is she likes music. There's a human side to her character, and that was something I really liked. She lives in a spaceship, she's listening to, like modern-day music. That was something I liked. I was like, there's a human side to this character. That is awesome. Brilliantly well done. Yeah, I just want more of her. She was great! That brings me to the writing aspect of this movie. This movie was not based on any Star Trek material. They took inspiration from other Star Trek material, but as far as I know, this is an all-original story. This isn't written by Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman like the first 2 were. This is written by Simon Pegg and Doug Jung. And that's kind of what had me worried about the movie at first, too. But then I saw the reviews, and even though they weren't as good as Star Trek Into Darkness and nowhere near as good as Star Trek, they were still really good reviews, and I was like, this is probably going to be a really good movie. And sitting there, watching this in the theater, I was like, this is a damn good movie. For an original story that isn't based on any Star Trek episode or movie, or isn't a remake of any Star Trek movie or episode, it is awesome, and it really felt like it could have been a really long Star Trek episode. Like it was a made-for-TV movie, but like better than a made-for-TV movie. It was awesome. I was just the whole time I was just having fun, and I was in awe, and it was just great. The writing was just it was perfect. It had a good story and a good plot. And what makes the movie even more fun is that you can sit back, kick your feet up, and have a great time when the action scenes are going down. The action scenes in this movie are really cool. Now, this is the director of 4 of the 7 Fast and Furious movies. I think he directed 3 through 6, Justin Lin. And it is brilliantly directed. The action scenes look really cool. It looks like they're on location, there's no green screen really. There are a few instances of shaky cam. There's one action scene in the middle of the movie where it was Jayla and Crawl fighting and weird camera angles and shaky cam. I was like, can we fix that? But they fixed it and it was good and it worked. It was just watching these, I was like, this is how you make an action movie. This is how you do it. Come up with clever, fun action scenes like these and just make the best and make it look as real and cool and as possible for even if it's a sci-fi movie. This is how you do it. And the visuals, awesome. Yeah, when they're in space, you feel like you're in space. When you're on a ship like the Enterprise, you feel like you're on a ship in the Enterprise. When you're in an open, vast landscape like they are in this film, you just look at it, you're like, wow, I am here. That is not a green screen. I am here. So I give the movie kudos for that. Where the film falters, there's only one problem I really found with this film, and where the film falters is in the writing of its villain, Crawl, played by Idris Elba. Now I have no problem with Idris Elba playing the villain. I thought Idris Elba was one of the best parts of the movie. It's just Crawl himself. His motivations were really unclear for the first 2/3 of this movie. There's a twist with him that really I didn't really and I don't know. I don't really know how to word it. Like, I don't want to say I didn't like it and I didn't see it coming. I kind of suspected it was coming, but I just don't feel like it was just kind of like, oh, they're doing that whole thing again. Like, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and I just don't think he was in the film as much as he should have been. I think he should have been in it a little bit more. There's a good period of the film where you're like, where is Crawl? Isn't he the main villain? Where is he? Nonetheless, guys, Star Trek Beyond is one of the best movies of the year. It's a well-crafted, well-made summer blockbuster. It's got characters, it's got emotion, it's got action, it's got all that great stuff, all that cool visuals, really well directed, couple of shaky cam moments here and there, but for the most part, it's awesome. And like I said, my only real problem, or the only one I could think of for right now, it just lies within the writing of the villain. I just thought he was a bit weak. His motivations weren't really clear. There wasn't enough of him in the first 2 acts of this movie. And there's a twist with his character at the end of the 2nd act, and it carries over into the 3rd act that I didn't hate, but I just wasn't in love with the idea. And I just think he was probably the weakest villain of the 3 Star Trek movies so far. But I am looking forward to Star Trek 4. These 3 Star Trek movies have really made me like Star Trek. I never thought I would ever like Star Trek, but these 3 films are really good. There's not a single bad film in this trilogy. Star Trek Beyond is one of those 3rd films that's actually good. Toy Story 3, Dark Knight Rises, Return of the King, just a few that come to mind, and now we get Star Trek Beyond, which is also really good. Guys, thanks for watching. Check out Star Trek Beyond. Tomorrow, I will be uploading a review of the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, a movie I totally despise, but I gave the Ultimate Edition a chance, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. That could be a long video. Guys, thanks again. I will do that for you tomorrow. Check out Star Trek Beyond. Go see Star Trek Beyond. Even if you haven't seen the first 2 Star Trek. Watch the first 2, actually. Watch Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, then watch Star Trek Beyond. That's all. That concludes this review. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And go insane for the Mag Guys. And before I sign off, I would just like to say, rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy. You made a great Spock. Live long and prosper. See, I don't know how to. I'm not a Star Trek fan. I just know this part. I don't know if the thumb goes in or if the thumb goes out. I would also like to say, rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. Gone way too soon. You're a great Chekhov. I really enjoyed you in Green Room, and yeah, unfortunate. But other than that, I'm signing off. We'll see you later.